And we are back, and it is time for the Else Views. This is the portion of the show where we talk about the TV shows or movies, video games, comic books, music, whatever is on our nerdy little hearts that we want to get a little bit deeper into. So I've got two TV series, technically two TV series that I want, whatever the plural of series is, that I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about one first, then if you have one, we can put yours in the middle and we could sandwich my TV shows between whatever you were going to bring us. I was going to say meaty goodness, but I'm like, probably shouldn't. But yeah, so the first one is Portlandia. Portlandia has come and gone, and good God, they went out with a bang. This last season was amazing. I loved the episode where they had John Mulaney and Nick Kroll's characters. The oh hello.
I don't, because I can't stand Portlandia.
Oh, no, but these guys were not on Portlandia.
I don't know. Then
they were from Kroll Show, and then they have the Netflix special Oh Hello on Broadway. They met up with two of the Portlandia characters. That was brilliant. The final episode, the series finale, with Kyle MacLachlan's the mayor coming, relieving his duty to someone, to this other lady, so he can get his marathon route in Portland to look like the Portland Rose, because they are the Rose City. And like the ending of that was beautiful, very poetic. If you're a fan of the show, obviously. I mean, if you can't stand the show, then whatever. You ain't gonna fucking like it.
I'm pretty sure that I've come to terms with, I don't like Fred Armisen, and I don't like his brand of humor. I can't get into his stuff. And my wife kept watching Portlandia, and I'm like, do you like the show? And she kept saying, I don't know. I feel like that's sort of what it is. Is she kept watching it, thinking that she's supposed to like it.
Yeah. And
she couldn't figure out that she did not like it as she watched it, and she just had to but it's good though, right? It's a good show, which I think is so Portland anyways, of like, I'm watching the show because it's supposed to be good. Everyone tells me how good this is, so I'm watching it convincing myself that it's good, even though I despise it inwardly. This is the definition of a hate watch to me. Is not even the hate. It's just the radical indifference of, I'm watching it trying to fight the nausea that's forming inside of me, because it physically makes me sick to my stomach having to sit through it, but I'm convinced that I'm getting something from it that is not actually there. It's like eating stuff that looks like it's made from a high-end Italian restaurant, like one of those 3 Michelin star chefs made it, but it's secretly, they like switched to the meal with McDonald's and didn't fucking tell you at like those Taste Your Choice commercials. It's like, hey, we secretly switched all these people's high brand coffee with Taste Your Choice to make them look like assholes in this commercial. That's it's essentially like that. Is like, here's the show, all the fucking tickers go off of like, it's got this great thing, and here's this cool actor, and all this funny stuff over here, and you're like, yeah, what? Is someone shoving a finger up my ass? Because this is really uncomfortable of how much I'm not enjoying this. Or if you enjoy a finger up the ass, you may.
Well, and that's, and I get that, but at the same time, because I'm like, where I like Fred Armisen on SNL, and I enjoyed Portlandia. I loved Portlandia.
Did you see the SNL the other week with Bill Hader?
Yeah, I loved that episode of SNL.
I liked a lot of it. I love Bill Hader.
Yeah,
and that's a problem, because the opening sketch, not the cold opening that they do and everything, but the opening sketch they do, the Californians, which is the fucking skit I was already sick of 2 years before they fucking left the show. And then they have to bring that piece of shit back. They have to have Fred come over so they can do this goddamn skit. And I'm like, holy shit, this was never good. So it's not a treat to have this be the returning point of here's Bill Hader coming back. Great, Bill Hader's back. It's not like fucking Omelette-ville or something that when Justin comes on or the Barry Gibb talk show. No, it's the Californians, which is always just a repetitive piece of shit sketch from day one. Never funny. We're all going to look in the mirror now. Shit, fuck no. And they open the show with that so many fucking times. It's like, this is not a reward for me tuning in for this guy. This pisses me off. Pisses me off.
But at the same time, it is one of those. And yes, check off the boxes. We have reached maximum Corey rant. But it's one of those things that like for you, it's an unfortunate thing that Bill Hader, this is going to be one of those, one of those shows that, or one of those sketches that whenever he comes back to host SNL, they will probably do the Californians. Much like, because that's, honestly, for me, it's not the Californians that I want him to do. It's Stefan.
Yeah, which he did, which was great.
Yeah. That
was a great bit.
It's, doing the Stefan sketch. I love that they brought out John Mulaney. Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's that. And then depending on who else they could get, it would be doing What's Up With That, but even then he plays such a bit character in that.
Yeah, he is a bit character in that. I would have preferred to see the guy with the puppet in the group of people, like the Vietnam puppet, and he like makes a puppet talk the whole time and the smoke's coming out of its mouth. That was a way funnier bit to me. Or anything to do with Vincent Price would be fun. He's got such better stuff. But it was just, I think it was a matter of like, well, Fred Armisen's in the building. Because we let him in once and he doesn't fucking go away. So,
but anyways, like I was saying, Portlandia
is over.
Yeah,
it's done.
Yeah, so Corey's excited. Corey can go suck a dick. But no.
Well, I have to make sure it's vegan if I'm watching Portlandia.
But no, in all honesty, as a fan of the show, I'm glad that they left here because the show for me never got stale. It never got like, okay, we're having the same episode. If anything, it did what a lot of shows that I watch from England do, where I'm like, because I watched, I very rarely watched them, as they aired, Thursday night 10 p.m. Because I was always doing something else. And by that, I have no idea what I would be doing at Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Oh, wait, I was doing the ElseNerds. So I would always watch it, later on. And then I'm like, wait a minute, is this the end? Was that it? Because it seems like I would have seen all these other, like I would have seen more promotion for the fact that it was ending. Like, it was the final, the final episode, because this has been IFC's biggest hit, for a long time. I think honestly right now, the next one is going to be Brockmire. Because it actually with Portlandia, even then it was tied up there with Comedy Bang Bang, because everyone was Comedy Bang Bang so awesome, and I enjoyed Comedy Bang Bang too. But at the same time, it's like I don't really know what else IFC has to back itself. They've got they've got Brockmire and they've got what is that, Stand Against Evil, but I think that's really it.
Wasn't the Maron show on that channel?
Mark Maron ended too. Mark Maron ended last year.
Well, he's still in his house.
Is he? Like legitly?
Yeah. Legit. I looked it up. It is not expensive. It's a nice home. I'm trying to think of where it is. If it's in the LA area, I think it's about $750,000, and it's maybe a 2-bedroom, but one of the bedrooms is pretty much just the size for an office. It's not very big, but it's beautiful. And it's got the garage that has the whole studio and stuff in it. I don't know how much of stuff that's staying, but it's for something that there's a picture in the garage of the president sitting in there. It's pretty damn cool. I was like, shit, that's a decent buy.
Yeah, but yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what IFC has from here. Like I said, I am sad that Portlandia is going, but I am glad that they are going now. Because, on both sides, Carrie Brownstein and Fred Armisen are busy doing other things. Carrie's doing Transparent. Fred still has documentary now on IFC, which is, is a really good show. Did you like that? Did you like documentary now, or is it?
I can't even work up the interest to watch it.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, for me, that one I think you would like a little bit more because of the fact that it has Bill Hader. Because
like I said, I love Bill Hader, but it's kind of like Reese's the you got your chocolate in my kick in the balls, and I really like chocolate, but you can't add enough chocolate to overpower the taste of the kick in the balls.
Yeah.
It's too much ball kicking for my palate.
Okay, so do you got something you want to share with us, or shall I do my other one?
Do you need me to rant about anything else? Hey, so my wife came home from a very busy, exhausting day of work on Saturday. Retail, you know how it is. And she texted me a couple hours before she left work, and she said, "I'm really tired. I'm going to need a couch bed," which is basically you make up the couch like a bed. You put down a base blanket, and then you put her big comfy blanket on it and get her comfortable pillows on there and set it all up so she'll be able to lay down and relax. And you put a soda out for her and snacks and just kind of like make it so she can relax. She gets home and she says to me, "I really want to watch Seinfeld. Do you have them on the Plex, or can you get them for the Plex?" Now, there's like 10 seasons of Seinfeld, which is not a favorite show of mine anyways, either. It doesn't taste good with chocolate, let's put it that way. But I was like, yeah, I could probably get Seinfeld for the Plex, or I could do this thing that I've been talking about doing for a long time and haven't worked up the reason to until now. I signed up for Hulu. Did the 30-day free trial, started this weekend. She got to sit there and watch a bunch of Seinfeld. A couple of days later, she discovered that The Adventures of Gumball are on there, so she's all excited about that. And I spent the weekend watching the entire first season of Future Man.
Yeah.
And a little bit of WKRP in Cincinnati, which is a show that I grew up with. They only have the first season of it. I sprung, well, not sprung yet, because it's, like I said, it's still the trial, for the no commercials version, which we know has been way back in the day. My biggest complaint about the whole Hulu thing is I don't want to pay for a service where I'm also getting commercials, or pay for a service where I'm not supposed to get commercials, but then still get some commercials. Like, I need a truly non-commercial thing if I'm going to pay for this shit, which is quite the premium, going from the $7.99 to the $11.99 for that. But pretty much was the only way I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've probably improved how their commercials run on their stuff from what they used to be like, where it would just interstitially throw in. But I don't want to see if it's you get the same commercial 3 times in a row shit you do like you did back then. Overall, the content, I'm still kind of exploring and seeing what's there. I definitely put a lot of stuff into my queue. I like that we have our individual queues. So I've got one that says Corey, she's got one that says Aaron. So this stuff doesn't have to mix, so I don't have to go through what I've gone through with Netflix, which is all of our horror movies keep showing up as suggestions to me on Netflix. And I'm like, man, I don't want to watch this until I have to. I like other things. But
Corey Scott, ladies and gentlemen, Corey Scott, the host of Podcast of Terror.
Yeah, I sometimes watch horror movies, but not all the fucking time. I have a life. I have other things that I like to not watch as well. Because I would be pissed if I had to fucking suggestion to Portlandia on there. So the interface and the suggestions kind of still a little not right. Like, if you go and you search, it's broken up by categories. You have to actually sub-search for everything if you want to look further. But if you go into the category and it shows you like the 8 shows that it suggests for that category, and you back up, it takes you all the way back to the beginning, and you kind of have to start all over again for every single search. And it's a dick move. It seems like they should be a little bit more advanced than that. The discovery aspect of it is not good because there's, like I said, only 8 shows per category. There's probably about 8 categories. So you're at a limit of about 64 suggestions, and some of them are repeated in the different categories too. Their movie section is not much of anything. So the Hulu presence is just TV shows. And while there is some shows that are originals, it's a lot of stuff that you would normally see on TV or have seen sometime in your life. Like the WKRP I was really excited about, really bummed out that it's only the first season. Not even the first 4 seasons or the original series, let alone the series that came out in the 80s, the Return to WKRP. That bugs me because I don't know if those shows are somewhere else and that's just what it is. That like, is it on Amazon or something? Because I'd like to watch the whole thing. Right now I'm exploring it as much as I can, but I still feel like Netflix is a far better value.
Yeah. So on the Hulu front, on the advertisement front, because I am paying for the $7.99 limited commercials, as they say. With the commercials, they give you just about enough time to take a pee break. To run out. Either run out, go make yourself a sandwich. Re-up on.
Probably not enough time for me to pee. I'm near 50.
Well, run out, go make yourself a sandwich. Go refill. Whatever you might need to have refilled, and come
Write
back.
hate letters to Fred Armisen.
Yeah. The normal things you do during commercial breaks. But then the only places I've seen it where the commercials have been more diverse. It's not like it's the Cartoon Network app where it repeats the same commercial for a game you're already playing. Cartoon Network Matchland or Steven Universe, because hey, that's coming back out. It's like, oh well, what about these other shows that you do? No. Steven Universe.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I watch the Cartoon Network regularly, it's the same goddamn commercials over and over again on that too. Like the amount of times that I see the Sonic commercials with Ellie Kemper, who I adore, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's just like the same 2 commercials every commercial break. It's like, here's the first one, next commercial break, here's the next one, and then back to the first one again, the next commercial break. Oh man. Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, so the commercials on Hulu have definitely improved. The only real complaint I have is, and again, I'm gonna echo on what you said. I don't know if it's like deals that it's on other networks, on other services like an Acorn.tv, but with some of the British stuff, because that's where it's the British programming and the animes are what's really going to separate between Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff, because in all honesty, Hulu has a much better way for you to watch it in as dubbed or subbed, where Netflix, to give an example, has I believe it's an Academy nominated film called My Life as a Zucchini, where they only have the French version. They don't have the English version that I could go buy on DVD at my work that has Nick Offerman and Ellen Page and all these other phenomenal English actors or American actors. And now it's like, oh yay, whatever. So one of the shows that I watch is Travel Man, and it puts weird commercial breaks in there because Travel Man is very simple because of how it's over in the UK with how they can do commercials. It's you got part 1 commercial break, part 2. That's it over the course of a half-hour episode. Well, Hulu decides that it's going to throw in an extra commercial break or 2, and so it sort of fucks things up. And I'm just like, come on, fix this. It's not that hard. Especially since they go, and later on they go coming up in part 2. After this, and they go travel, like the logo Travel Man. It's like you cut there, not later, not earlier. There. But yeah, Hulu, I still do enjoy it. I mean, I find myself watching TV shows through that a little bit more than through Comcast. But that's also because I don't have the DVR through Comcast, which I think you still have the DVR, right?
Yeah, I actually just had to replace my Comcast box in the last 2 weeks, which I was surprised that a bunch of my stuff from the DVR transferred over to the new box, but not everything. So it's a little weird. It's like some of the stuff sits on their servers, I guess, but some of the older stuff, like that was the other good thing about getting Hulu is I was in the midst of watching Atlanta, but I hadn't made it through the whole first season yet, and now I'm missing those episodes for my DVR. but they're
Yeah.
on Hulu. They're available.
Yeah. And I mean, some of the movies on the movie side, it's a little tricky because they're playing. What I found is a lot of them, or a good chunk of the movies, are also available on Amazon Prime. But then they do get some of the, the exclusive streaming rights for some really good movies. Like I believe Detroit is streaming exclusively on Hulu. But yeah, Hulu does offer some pretty good stuff. But again, it's that, your price may vary. I honestly think, if you needed to jump down to the commercial version, it wouldn't be that bad because I mean, I don't know how the commercials would be out there in California, but for here, I mean, occasionally we get local stuff in there. I'm like, wait, what? How did we have the auto shop here in our commercials on Hulu, or Consumers Energy? Well, Consumers Energy I get because that's like the only power people here in Michigan that advertise on there. And there's enough repetition to where it's not like it used to be where it was, now here's the Xanax commercial, and here's the Ready Player One commercial. The only commercial that's been repeating has been Isle of Dogs. That's been it. Everything else has been, a different commercial every break. And it's only been like Isle of Dogs is in maybe every other break, not necessarily like all the breaks. Like, oh, hey, now the show's brought to you by Isle of Dogs, in case you didn't notice this, and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. But so Hulu is what you're recommending?
I don't know if I'm recommending it so much. I'm experimenting with it to see. So far, it's worth the trial.
Yeah.
And it may be something that I stick with for a couple of months to get through a few things. I don't know about the long term of it, at least not as a continuous. It may be we drop Hulu after a certain period of time and go and check something else, because since I'm still a cable subscriber, the idea of having Hulu to watch the shows the day after that they air on like CW or any number of other stations, because I am a cord cutter, that doesn't really apply to me. I am someone who still DVRs the shows on TV. I'll have to see if the experience of while I'm watching Atlanta or while I'm going to catch up on Legion season 1 to start watching Legion season 2, I'll have to see if I get through that first season and then continue to watch the new episodes on Hulu, or if I just watch them off the DVR, if the experience is different. I mean, on the Hulu, conceivably, the commercials will be cut out, and I want to fast forward through them. But is that really that big of a deal for a DVR experience?
If you did the Hulu live TV, the only complaint I've heard with like the Hulu.
No, I don't mean the live TV. I mean the watching the episodes.
Yeah. As
the series show up on Hulu.
Yeah.
I'm not subscribing to their TV service.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like I get that now because, and I think here's the other part that I would even say is Hulu would be okay if you didn't have a DVR with your cable subscription. Like right. we don't have the DVR and all that stuff. So, but we have the on demand. We can watch all the stuff on demand, and it's basically like it is DVR'd from the night before, whenever it aired in that past week. And then if we wait a little longer, it's the reduced commercial version. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Hulu. Definitely check out because you can now check out Marvel's Runaways.
Yeah, that's my cue.
Gosh, there's a bunch of other shows. One other show that will be there soon-ish, I think, maybe. I don't know. It's weird because it's Cartoon Network, and it's their newest show, Craig of the Creek. So this is sort of a tag team with the other one, with the other show that they had, Apple and Onion, which I did research on that one a little bit, and it's got a great cast on Apple and Onion. Paul Shearer's in there, Richard Ayoade's on there, but then they were advertising this other show, Craig of the Creek, and I'm like, well, this seems interesting. And then they advertised with some of the people from Steven Universe. Well, I love Steven Universe. It's a great TV show. It's their storyboard artists, I think, or storyboard editors. They created the show Craig of the Creek, and it's about the main character Craig, and he goes after school on adventures with his two best friends, Kelsey, who is voiced after episode 2 by Noel Wells, and JP, who I do not know who he is voiced by, as they go on adventures in the neighborhood creek, which they have it's over exaggerated, like Codename Kids Next Door over exaggerated things, where it's like this big long, it's almost like a river as opposed to a creek. But there's all these different territories and stuff. They've had 6 episodes out that they've aired or are available through the Cartoon Network app. And some of the episodes are really good, like just like really touching, as opposed to just, oh, this is great for kids, but just like, all right, this is like one of the earlier episodes. Oh, also, Craig the Creek features Terry Crews playing Craig's dad, because one of the episodes, Craig just wants to map out the creek, the whole area, with including all the different monuments and places named after people who've done great things. And he notices a blank spot in the middle of the ring of poison ivy. It's like this big old circle that has poison ivy. So they decide that they're going to explore it by getting, basically, you get less protection going into the upside down and the hazmat suits than what they had. Like, they just have on these full-on white suits, duct tape, masks and all this stuff as they are walking through these, what did they say, 5 backyards wide. They measure everything in backyards in the show, which is just cute because it's it's how kids would measure stuff. It's how I would measure stuff when I was there, when I was that age. Get to the middle and they find a trampoline, and they find that this one kid who does not have an allergic reaction to poison ivy. This is his quiet place because no one goes to it because, well, it's poison ivy. You go in poison ivy, you get itchy. You got to leave the creek. And so he's like, they're like, oh, well, what do we call it? Do not enter. That's what we call it because where we did make the discovery, we're gonna let him have it because this is his quiet place. But yeah, it's a really great show. I think new episodes air on Fridays, so it's one of those. But yeah, it's definitely one of those. Catch it. I think it'll be on Hulu later this year, maybe, because they usually wait for like a season to finish up before going through, and it's in typical Cartoon Network fashion. It's only 15 minutes ish an episode.
Yeah, the short episodes, it's easy to pop content around whenever they need to fill, which is fine. And I don't know if it's necessarily short attention span, but it works that way too.
Well, it's I see this working especially with the Cartoon Network app, which I've been doing a little bit more on my Roku, because to let people in on the goings on behind me here, on my TV, I do not have the cable box anymore because we got a TV for the living room. So the cable box that was here is now out there, and I use my Roku as my cable box because of the Comcast Beta app. Well, I have some issues with their interface. So sometimes if I'm just like wanting to watch something over, that's why I think I favor a little bit more on Hulu especially for the on-demand stuff. Basically, I'll use Comcast, the Xfinity app, for live watching of shows, like set appointment time things. But then I will go into the Cartoon Network app, and they start you up right away with your My Mix deal, where it plays shows that you favorited, and they throw in some other ones that you might like, as they say. And that's really where the 15-minute thing kicks in, because you can go from shows like Teen Titans to We Bare Bears to all these different shows in there, where over the course of like 3 hours you've experienced like 10 different series, and find it enjoyable. Be like, oh, I never heard of this We Bare Bears. Let's check out more of it. Or I've never heard of this Apple and Onion, or whatever the show might be that you would be discovering on there.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.